Officer Daniel Reeves had spent over a decade working as a police officer in a quiet town outside Seattle. He believed that every mystery eventually had a logical explanation. Strange reports, missing persons, and unexplained events usually turned out to be misunderstandings or coincidences. But everything changed on a cold October night when his police body camera captured something impossible. At 2:17 a.m., dispatch received a call reporting screams coming from an abandoned construction site on the edge of town. Daniel was assigned to investigate. As he arrived, rain fell steadily, and the unfinished buildings loomed like dark shadows against the night sky. He activated his body camera and began searching the area. For nearly 20 minutes, Daniel carefully checked every corner of the construction site. The place was completely deserted. There were no signs of a struggle, no vehicles, and no people hiding in the darkness. The screams reported by the caller seemed to have vanished without a trace. Eventually, Daniel cleared the scene and continued his patrol. The rest of the night passed normally. At the end of his shift, he returned to the station, uploaded his body camera footage, and headed home without giving the incident another thought. The following afternoon, Daniel received an unexpected call from Sergeant Miller. The sergeant asked him to come to the station immediately. When Daniel arrived, he found several officers gathered around a monitor in the evidence review room. His body camera footage from the construction site was displayed on the screen. Confused, Daniel asked what the problem was. Without saying a word, Miller pressed play. The footage appeared normal at first, showing Daniel walking through the empty buildings exactly as he remembered. Then something strange happened. About 9 minutes into the recording, faint voices could be heard beneath the sound of the wind. Daniel frowned because he remembered being completely alone that night. The voices slowly became clearer until everyone in the room heard the same chilling message. Officer down, shots fired. The words sounded like a dispatch transmission. Moments later, another voice assigned emergency units to an incident at the intersection of Maple and 7th. Then came the detail that froze the room. The injured officer mentioned in the transmission was Daniel Reeves himself. Everyone assumed the recording had somehow become corrupted. Technicians spent hours analyzing the file, searching for signs of tampering or accidental overlap from another radio transmission. They found nothing. The audio was embedded naturally in the original footage. Even stranger, the emergency described in the recording had never happened. No officer had been shot. No incident had occurred at Maple and 7th. The transmission seemed to describe an event that simply did not exist. Although disturbed, Daniel eventually convinced himself there had to be a technical explanation. The next night, Daniel was working another routine shift when a pursuit suddenly erupted across town. A suspect driving a black SUV had fled from officers and was heading in Daniel's direction. Daniel moved to assist and soon found himself approaching the intersection of Maple and 7th. The moment he saw the street signs, a chill ran down his spine. The location was identical to the one mentioned in the mysterious recording. Seconds later, the fleeing SUV raced through the intersection, forcing Daniel into pursuit. The chase ended in an empty parking lot. The suspect jumped out of the vehicle holding a handgun. Everything happened in seconds. Officers shouted commands, but the man raised the weapon. Gunfire exploded through the night. The suspect fell and chaos erupted around the scene. Then Daniel's radio crackled to life. Officer down, shots fired. His blood ran cold. The dispatcher's voice was identical to the one recorded on his body camera the day before. Every word, every instruction, and every unit assignment matched perfectly. The impossible recording had predicted the future. The incident triggered an extensive investigation. Experts from multiple agencies examined Daniel's body camera and all related evidence. Nobody could explain how a recording made 24 hours earlier had accurately captured a future dispatch transmission. The mystery deepened a few days later when technicians reviewing newer footage discovered another hidden audio message buried beneath radio chatter. After enhancing the sound, they realized the voice belonged to Daniel himself. The message was brief, but alarming. "Don't go into the basement," the voice warned. Then another sentence followed. "They aren't dead." No one understood what the warning meant. There was no context and no explanation. For several days, nothing unusual occurred. Officers joked about haunted cameras and time travel. Daniel tried to move on with his life, but the message remained in his thoughts. Then, dispatch received complaints about strange noises coming from an abandoned house scheduled for demolition. Daniel and another officer were assigned to investigate. The moment Daniel arrived at the property, an uneasy feeling settled over him. The house looked ordinary, but he immediately remembered the warning from the recording. The officers entered the abandoned structure and conducted a search. Everything appeared empty until they discovered a basement door hidden beneath layers of dust. Daniel hesitated. His future voice had specifically warned him not to go into a basement. Despite his fear, curiosity overcame caution. Together, the officers descended into the darkness below. Their flashlights revealed old furniture, crumbling walls, and decades of neglect. Then they noticed something unusual hidden behind a stack of boxes. A heavy metal door covered with fresh scratch marks. When they opened the door, both officers froze. The secret room behind it was covered from floor to ceiling with photographs of local residents. Hundreds of images showed children, teachers, business owners, and police officers. Among them were countless photos of Daniel himself. Surveillance equipment filled one corner of the room. Computer monitors, maps, schedules, and recording devices suggested someone had been secretly observing the town for years. Detectives quickly secured the location, and what began as a routine call became one of the largest criminal investigations in the town's history. Authorities eventually identified the room's owner as a former contractor who had disappeared years earlier after losing his construction business. Evidence suggested he had secretly lived beneath the abandoned property while monitoring residents. However, the most disturbing discovery came from several digital storage drives recovered from the room. Among thousands of recordings, investigators found video files with timestamps dated months into the future. Everyone assumed the timestamps were incorrect until they viewed the footage and realized it accurately depicted events that had not yet occurred. One particular recording showed a town council meeting scheduled for the following month. Officials initially laughed at the absurdity, yet when the meeting finally took place, every conversation, vote, and movement unfolded exactly as shown in the recording. The discovery attracted the attention of federal authorities. The drives were quietly confiscated, and outside agencies became involved. Questions multiplied, but answers remained elusive. How could future events be recorded before they happened? Who had created these files, and what connection did they have to Daniel's body camera? Meanwhile, Daniel continued receiving occasional messages hidden within his body camera recordings. Some warned about minor accidents, robberies, and fires. Every prediction eventually came true. After documenting dozens of cases, Daniel noticed a consistent pattern. The recordings never showed events more than 24 hours into the future. They always occurred exactly one day later. It was as though the camera somehow possessed the ability to see tomorrow. The phenomenon became increasingly difficult to dismiss as coincidence. 6 months after the original construction site incident, Daniel encountered the strangest message yet. During a routine response to a false burglary alarm, nothing unusual happened. The next day, while reviewing the footage, technicians discovered another hidden voice. Once again, it belonged to Daniel. The message was short, but deeply unsettling. "Do not let them publish the files," the voice said. After a burst of static, it added one final sentence. "The cameras aren't predicting the future, they're remembering it." Soon afterward, federal agents arrived and seized every piece of evidence connected to the case. The drives disappeared. The recordings vanished. Official reports were classified and locked away. Officers were ordered never to discuss the investigation publicly. Years passed, and Daniel eventually retired from law enforcement. Yet he never forgot the final message. The idea haunted him. If the cameras were remembering the future rather than predicting it, then perhaps the future had already happened somehow, waiting to be experienced again. Nearly 10 years after his retirement, Daniel received an unmarked package in the mail. Inside was a small digital storage card containing a single video file. The timestamp displayed tomorrow's date. With trembling hands, he opened the recording. The screen revealed an older version of himself sitting alone in a dimly lit room. The future. Daniel stared directly into the camera and spoke calmly. "You finally understand, don't you? The future already happened. We simply experience it one day at a time." The image dissolved into static. The file ended abruptly, and according to the timestamp, that message would not be recorded until the following day.